Thank you so much for making time to join us this evening. We are still in Nyandarua County, but first in our top stories. Tonight, tension is high in Baringo North. 2 people dead and 1 injured after fresh attacks in Kosile and Ngaratuko. Also ahead, governors in trouble. EACC raids Wajir governor's homes and office as Senate recommends Governor Badu's arrest over graft in Migori. Also, MPs from the maize farming Rift Valley now claim to know who is behind the woes affecting farmers.
Sisi, shida zetu mingi ya mahindi, ya fertilizer na hii mambo yote imeletwa na Mheshimiwa Naibu Rais na ofisi yake.
Inasemekana yeye mwenyewe ndiye amekuwa akipigia simu maafisa wa cereals board. Nani atalipwa, nani halipwe.
Plus, the grim toll of abortion and why more young people are resorting to unsafe abortions as the marriage stops is stopped.
NTV Weekend Edition with Zainab Ismail.
Of course, thank you so much for making time to join us. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Flora Atieno. Now, 2 people have been confirmed dead and 1 seriously wounded in a fresh bandit attack in Kosile and Ngaratuko areas in Baringo North Sub-County. The bandits also drove away with more than 100 animals towards.
And Ngaratuko in Baringo North came to terms with a bandit attack on Friday. Gunshots set the residents scampering for safety. The Friday attack left 2 people dead. According to the families, the 2 were herding livestock when they were ambushed by bandits. 1 person was seriously injured in the ambush.
Jamani, sisi tunalia. Hii nyumba imebaki vile mnaona, hizo manyumba mnaona hapo na watoto. Hivyo ndio imebaki hapa. Kuna njau ya ng'ombe hizo 5 ilikuwa hapa. Sijui sitakufa ama hakuna kitu na nyonya. Ni njau ndogo ndogo. Tulifuata ng'ombe juzi. Tukarudi. Jana tukarudi. Mpaka mahali tuliwacha mikusa ng'ombe.
The herders claimed the bandits also drove away more than 100 livestock towards Silale in the neighboring Tiati sub-county. Fearing more attacks, families have abandoned their homes. Baringo North Deputy Commissioner said the criminals are taking advantage of the small number of security personnel patrolling the area as most of police officers have been deployed to various schools in the region to secure the ongoing KCSE exams.
Tumekuwa na misururu ya baraza za usalama kati yetu wenzetu katika East Pokot hata Tiati, na hiyo itaendelea. Ilikuwa imesaidia sana kutoka Kapturo, tukawa na usalama, tukawa na amani, watu wakawa pamoja kama jamii moja eneo hili.
Residents have called upon the government to deploy more security officers to rein in the attacks.
And away from that devastating report, detectives from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission have today arrested some senior officials of the Wajir County government. EACC detectives also raided the home and office of Governor Mohammed Abdi Mahmoud. Sources told NTV that some of those arrested are Sonia Moria, wife of the head of the county treasury, Jeff Moria Githinji. It is reported that the county official's spouse attempted to destroy documents ahead of the raid. Siad Ibrahim Ahmed, branch manager of KCB Bank Wajir branch, was also arrested in connection with the investigation. The detectives also seized documents and material to aid in their investigations into claims of embezzlement of 350 million shillings of the Wajir County government. Now, troubles for embattled Migori Governor Ol Bolgat could be far from over after the Senate asked the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate him and recommend his arrest over graft-related charges. Senate Public Accounts Committee says that Bolgat and some of his officers presided over graft in his first term in office, thereby amassing unexplained wealth. And as NTV Silas Apollo reports, this adds to the troubles facing the county chief, who is currently battling 2 cases in the court.
Migori Governor Ol Bolgat may have been freed on bail in his gun possession case, but there is no absolution yet from the corruption allegations tagging at him. A Parliamentary Watchdog Committee wants him back in the dock for the loss of funds in his county. Senate Public Accounts Committee is of the view that Obado must be held responsible for the loss of funds tied to payments of drugs worth 14.7 million shillings, but which were never delivered. Obado is also accused of treating MCAs and county officials to a retreat using public funds against the Public Procurements and Disposal Act. The trip is said to have cost the county 1.5 million shillings and was held at the Reef Hotel. Obado also booked a hotel for 3.2 million shillings during his first time in office, but for purposes on a period that were not made clear. According to the committee, the process used in booking the hotel were also not made public as required by the law. The governor is also said to have okayed the purchase of motor vehicles at 122.7 million shillings, an amount that was not approved by the county assembly. He also incurred another expenditure totaling 36.8 million shillings for various ICT projects which failed. The recommendations by the committee now adds to the troubles bedeviling the governor, who is also facing murder charges at the Milimani Law Courts. Obado has been enjoined as a person of interest in the murder of former Rongo University student Sharon Otieno, who he had previously admitted to have been romantically involved with. And on Tuesday this week, officers from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission raided the home of the county chief, where they found 8 guns which they say were in his possession illegally. He is currently out on cash bail for the 2 offences, a matter that has now become a fodder for his supporters who are accusing his rivals of plotting for his downfall. Silas Apollo, NTV.
A group of leaders from the Rift Valley region have called for investigations into Deputy President William Ruto, saying the DP and his office are behind the continued problems facing maize farming in the country. The legislators have further challenged the DP to shelve his 2022 presidential ambitions and focus on development.
The problems maize farmers are facing about payment and corruption have become fodder for debate in the North Rift. Some political leaders from the region say Deputy President William Ruto is behind it all.
Kwa hivyo, we are calling for investigation, particularly to the one Deputy President, on the issues touching on fertilizer and the importation of maize.
Wakulima mjue hivi ya kwamba tunasema sisi shida zetu mingi ya mahindi, ya fertilizer na hii mambo yote imeletwa na Mheshimiwa Naibu Rais na ofisi yake. Tunataka ofisi yake ichunguzwe.
So mimi nataka nichukue nafasi hii kusema kwa issues ya hizi yenye naguza mkulima, ningependa pia Deputy President pia achunguzwe.
In a press conference in Eldoret town held after meeting farmers representatives from the North Rift counties, the leaders further accused the Deputy President of complicity in the misappropriation of funds at NCPB, where money was paid to cartels at the expense of farmers. They expressed their frustrations in Parliament, where they say they cannot debate the maize problems in the country due to external influence.
Any petition of the farmers cannot see the floor of the House. And the rumor has it that the Deputy President interferes with the House Business Committee when it comes to the petitions that touches on the issues of the farmers.
They accuse the Deputy President of prioritizing the 2022 succession, which they want him to stop. They say his focus should be on development.
In fact, the worst county in the country in terms of development is the county where the Deputy President is coming from. Because there is not even a single complete project, be it pipasses.
The leaders say farmers from the region will not sell their maize to NCPB at 2,300 Kenyan shillings as announced by the government. They are now demanding for 3,600 shillings per 90 kilogram bag, failure to which they will mobilize farmers from the region to march to State House to petition President Uhuru Kenyatta on the matter. They also opposed any attempts to convince farmers from the region to stop maize farming and start farming other crops, saying it is misleading advice that would benefit cartels. Lois Wangoi, NTV, Eldoret.
All right, and away from that, a multi-agency task force made up of officials from the Kenya Revenue Authority, the National Environment and Management Authority, the Kenya Bureau of Standards and Security Officers will destroy the over 100 bags of bat maize found in Mombasa on Monday. The bags, which are currently at a container freight station belonging to Consol Bays Limited, were shipped into the country in 2017 and have been in stores since. The Kenya Bureau of Standards had taken samples of the grain and found out that the maize had aflatoxin and declared it unfit for human consumption. KEBS had ordered the owner to destroy the grain, but sources informed NTV that there were plans to sell it to local millers at a throwaway price. The consignment will be destroyed in Claywork on Monday next week. Police are also investigating the three companies, General Cargo Services Limited, Mahindra and Mahindra South Africa Limited and Consol Bays, which are believed to have brought in the maize. Now, the High Court has frozen the accounts of two suspects who are being investigated for acquiring wealth illegally. Lady Justice Hedwig Ongudi has ordered that there should not be any further transaction on some more than 10.5 million shillings in two accounts belonging to Joseph Wanjohi and Sidjo manufacturers. The judge further ordered the suspects to surrender the logbooks of two vehicles to the NTSA and asked the Chief Land Registrar to put caveats on 3 parcels of land, all believed to have been proceeds of corruption.
It's now the salient feature of what the government touts as its stepped-up war on graft, cutting the flow of corruption proceeds to individuals. In the latest court ruling, Lady Justice Hedwig Ongudi follows the trail of money to 2 individuals who had been accused of acquiring property and stashing cash in personal accounts. Joseph Wanjohi, Jinwamboi Wanjiro, Sijdo Manufacturers and Suppliers and Marudiano Zone Limited are all registered as respondents in a case coming up for hearing. The manager of Barclays Bank has received orders to stop further withdrawals or any transactions of funds amounting to 10.5 million shillings deposited in 2 Barclays Bank accounts, one in Muthaiga North and another in Moi Avenue, belonging to Joseph Wanjohi and Sijdo Manufacturers and Suppliers. The court has also ordered NTSA to register caveats for 2 top-of-the-range vehicles, a Range Rover Sport and a Mercedes-Benz, both registered to Wanjohi, and asked the respondents to deliver the vehicles to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters within 7 days. 3 parcels of land registered in Wanjohi's name and that of Marudiano Zone Limited will also be in the state's custody. The court has ordered the Chief Registrar of Lands to register caveats on each of the parcels of land under scrutiny.
Mahakama ifanye kazi yake, ihukumu au iwachilie.
President Uhuru Kenyatta says the government will do all it can to recover money that has been channeled from public use to the accounts of private individuals. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Elsewhere, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board has suspended all abortion services provided by Mary Stops Clinic. The order came after a KMPDB probe on the organization following complaints from members of the public after it allegedly published pro-abortion advertisements. NTV's Malmiendo reports.
The Kenyan Constitution does not allow abortion unless it's an emergency and the life and health of the mother is in danger. Whereas a large number of women resort to backstreet abortions, a smaller percentage visit clinics such as Mary Stops Kenya. The clinic, which is operational in more than 30 countries, is said to conduct abortions for thousands of women countrywide, as well as provide free contraceptives and advice on family planning, among other services. According to the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board, unidentified members of the public raised concern over the clinic's position on abortion. KMPDB says it interviewed witnesses, among them medics and patients who have procured abortions at the clinic. According to one statement, a patient was reviewed by a doctor whom she informed that she wanted an abortion. She was not talked against it, but was referred to Mary Stop's clinic in Eastleigh, wherein the abortion was done. She continues to say that she recalled hearing a lot of suction noises, and after a short while the procedure was over. Thereafter she was discharged after about 1 hour. In its findings, the Medical Practitioners Board noted that advertisements undertaken by Mary Stops Kenya as part of their sexual reproductive campaign contravened the provisions of the Medical Practitioners Act. The board has ordered the clinic to, and I quote, immediately cease and desist offering any form of abortion services in all its facilities, submit weekly returns to the Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board over the next 60 days, review its existing guidelines for reproductive health services to conform within the law, pull down misleading information on its current website, and provide the chairman of the Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board with evidence of compliance with orders within 60 days. The orders have received mixed reactions from Kenyans, with many taking to social media to comment on the matter. Mel Miendo, NTV.
Now, that suspension has elicited a lot of reaction and brings to the fore the discussion about why thousands of women go for unsafe abortions. Amid the unclear policies from government and a lack of consensus from stakeholders on how to handle this emotive issue, NTV's Brenda Wanga sifts through the confusion and controversy and listens to the voices that have remained silent in this debate. Those of women who have gone through the procedure. Take a look.
From the bowels of one of the city's big slums, Mathari, emerge two girls. They share more than just the poverty-ridden place they call home. They have been brought together by a shared traumatic and, in their own confession, unnecessary experience. Jackie and Rebecca, not their real names, are survivors of backstreet abortions.
Saa zingine chalia unaweza kuwa naye ubeshte, lakini saa ukishika boli umwambie uko pregnant, atadeny aseme sikujui.
Rebecca, on the other hand, discovered she was pregnant with her second child, a pregnancy she attributes to her love for the good life, but one that she couldn't afford to keep given her financial circumstance. The two girls took a similar decision to abort, but the cost of having the procedure in a proper medical facility was neither available to them legally nor financially. Abortions.
Ni kama matawi imegongwa, imechanganyishwa na maji. Hapa nakupea nusu unakunywa, alafu anakuambia hii ukifika maybe kunywa. Ukishaikunywa unakaa kama around 30 minutes hivi, alafu unaanza kusikia nikaa kitu inakunini kwa tumbo. Sasa hiyo kusikia, yani utadhani maybe ni tumbo inataka kuuma, lakini si tumbo. Sasa ikakuwa ni hivyo, ikaenda almost kama 1 week hivi, 2 days ikiuma hivyo. Sasa ikabidi sana nivumilie juu mwenyewe nilitaka.
Juu anapiga mtu pills, 2 unameza, 2 anakuweka. Then private parts.
Okay.
Then anakuambia ita take quite sometimes, but unafaa kwenda relax kwako. Yani kumaanisha yezi tokea kwake. Yeah, risk isikakue huko. But ile time unafika home, so unaanza kufeel nika ile cramps zile za period. But hiyo ni more painful kuliko hiyo period.
Jackie and Rebecca's may have been as a result of teenage sexual angst. Lucy, not her real name, found herself on the abortion path despite being on contraceptives.
Sasa ikafika 3 months, sioni period yangu. Mimi nikalenga tu nikasema maybe itakuja tu. Sasa kidogo nasikia kitu imefura hapa.
She sought the help of a chemist who for 3,000 shillings gave her pills that would terminate that pregnancy.
Mwana venye ukiwa kwa matatu venye gari ikifika kwa bamsi ikiruka hivi. Sasa si narukishwa hivyo. Nikasikia kama tumbo inauma hivi uchungu. Kidogo kitambo nitokenge huko penye nilikuwa niende penye nafika, nikaona damu inamwagika. Kidogo naona kitu inatoka kwa tumbo tu hivi.
The complications that arose landed her on the doorstep of Titus Asena, a nurse at KNH's Ward 1D, the Center for Post-Abortion Care. Asena has seen hundreds of women like Lucy walk through these doors, some in critical condition with the evidence of their actions.
We get so many foreign objects, sticks, we've had needle pricks, we've had a hanger, we've had crotchets, all sorts of. Some they just come with the injuries that you can't really explain the material that was used actually to penetrate. We do blood transfusion, and in the severe cases where we already have patients with acute renal shutdown, we work up for dialysis. There are some cases that end up in ICU for ICU care. And in some cases, we've even lost patients.
The Constitution's attempts to give guidance on the sensitive issue remains vague. According to Article 26 of the Constitution, abortion is only permitted if the life of the mother is in danger and under the counsel of a trained medical personnel. The attempts to come up with standard guidelines on how to handle abortions in Kenya have not borne much fruit.
If someone is pregnant today, what options do they have? Is just termination alone, or they can also have, they may want to keep the child. So is the system supporting, say, rescue homes?
The jury is still out on when the guidelines will be out. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Now, the cost of treating complications arising from unsafe abortions is putting a huge strain on the country's health system's finances. A report by the Ministry of Health and the African Population and Health Research Center released in February says that the country spends as much as 533 million shillings treating complications related to unsafe abortions. The money is used for medication, procedures to treat severe bleeding, organ failure and other life-threatening complications. The report also shows that 3 out of 4 unsafe abortion-related admissions are managed in wards in public health facilities. Hundreds of thousands of girls and women still procure unsafe abortions in Kenya every year. The Ministry of Health estimates 21,000 women are admitted each year due to abortion-related complications, and 2,600 of these eventually die. Experts recommend addressing the drivers of unsafe abortion by enhancing access to contraceptives, sexuality education and discussions on how to prevent unwanted pregnancies. Now, abortion is obviously a very emotive subject, as illustrated by the views given by a cross-section of Kenyans in reactions to today's happenings. Listen.
Someone mwenye hataja kutumia application na anataka kuzaliwa or anything, you are the one mwenye ulienda kuitafuta. So why do you have to remove it?
Kando na mambo ya kidini ni mbaya, inaua. Sehemu zote mbili ya Kiislamu na vile vile upande wa Kristo hatuelezewi ama tuambiwa kwamba tufanye abortion.
Kuna kama wasomi sahi wamemaliza shule, wengine wataka kurudi shule, wao nitakuwa vizuri pia kujichunga.
Ukae vile Mungu anataka. Maana kwa abortion ni kuua. Wewe ukiua abortion, ukiua kesho mbele ya Mungu atakuuliza kwa nini uliua? Na yeye amekupa zawadi.
Abortion, I'm a Christian. It's wicked, it's evil. Yeah.
Inaonyesha nikaa hauna utu yote ndani yako. Girls they fear of what the community will take actually, what people will say about them.
Now, those are just views from a cross-section of Kenyans in related to that topic. At this point, we'll take a very short break. When we come back, quite a lot in store for you, including the stories from this great county, Nyandarua. Stay tuned.
with Zainab Ismail.
All right, welcome back. You're watching NTV Weekend Edition. And to some little politics now. Ford Kenya leader Moses Wetangula has hit out at ODM leader Raila Odinga, saying his recent reconciliation with Kirinyaga Governor Migori was political opportunism. He claims Odinga has been compromised to turn a blind eye to the looting at the youth agency.
Ford Kenya party leader and Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula continued his scathing attack on ODM leader Raila Odinga, this time over his most recent handshake with Kirinyaga Governor Migori that saw her drop a defamation suit against Odinga for linking her with the loss of 791 million shillings at the NYS. Wetangula faulted the move as a political one.
Hiyo ni pesa ya wananchi ilipotea. Alafu mtu anatuambia let bygones be bygones. That kind of political opportunism is what is ailing this country. That people want to see things because they are benefiting.
Despite his views though, a section of legislators from his backyard have rallied behind him, training their ammunition on Deputy President William Ruto, who has been making political overtures there.
If something cheats you, that you will ever get the vote of the Luo community from any other angle, apart from approaching our bona fide leadership under Raila Odinga, you are going nowhere.
Deputy President William Ruto, on his part speaking in Kisii, dismissed what he termed as divisive politics, calling on leaders to instead focus on empowering their people.
Hatutaki tena mashindano ya siasa, iwe ni mashindano ya ukabila na mambo ya chuki na mambo ya kugawanya wananchi. Mashindano iwe ni ya sera. Yule mzembe wa kuongea tu maneno ya bure aambiwe aende nyumbani.
Unapata kamati ya chochote yote ikifanywa, unapata hiyo kamati mama ni moja ama hakuna. Sheria inasema lazima tuunde sheria ya kukubali kwamba 1 out of 3 in every gathering must be the other gender.
In the meantime, President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga are on their first international event together. Both leaders are attending the 11th AU Extraordinary Summit in Ethiopia. Odinga is attending the conference in Addis in his capacity as the AU representative for infrastructure development in Africa. Vincent Odur, NTV.
Now, Nyandarua County is home to a wide selection of birds, one of them declared endangered. The sharp long claw bird is found in parts of Kinangop and around Lake Ol Bolgat in the county. A group of young people are dedicating their lives to saving this bird by encouraging sheep farmers to adopt new measures of rearing their animals. In return, they process the wool for sale. And Viz Brenda Wanga reports.
At first glance, nothing seems unusual about this building located along the Njambini-Ol-Kalau Road. But a closer look reveals a mini factory of sorts. Here, young women practice a skill passed down from generation to generation, but now modernized. It is an art that thrives here largely because this region, due to its cold weather, is apt for keeping sheep that yields about 50 tons of wool yearly.
We buy from farmers at a price which is good for them.
The idea behind the group to add value to the wool produced in order to get the farmers even more earnings for their labor. In this small room, the wool from the sheep is transformed into yarn that is then processed into making beautiful artifacts like this shawl here. But while this group prides itself in helping farmers get more value for their products, they are even more proud of the work that they do in conserving the environment. Their main focus, the endangered bird that thrives in the grasslands in these areas. The Sharp's longclaw bird is found only in the northern slopes of Mount Kenya, the southern slopes of the Aberdare, in the Mau, and here in Kinangop. But through the years, its population has been declining largely due to the reduction of its natural habitat. In this area, the residents have been progressively moving towards cultivation agriculture, drastically reducing the areas covered by open treeless grasslands with short and often tussocky grasses, the natural habitat for the birds. Even the remaining open grasslands are turned into grazing land for cow and sheep, further narrowing the chances of survival for the bird. This group's approach to saving the bird therefore says they educate the sheep farmers on more modern ways of rearing their animals in enclosed places as opposed to letting them roam the grasslands.
So when these sheep get to those fields, they would just demolish these eggs. So we are telling them to keep the sheep in the most modern agricultural practices that we have.
The group is still young and the proceeds from the sale of their produce hasn't been encouraging yet. Getting the market for their products still a challenge, but they are not deterred. They are recruiting more young men and women into their vision.
If this trend continues and the grasslands are converted to croplands, the bird which we are trying to conserve, the sharp-stoned crow, will be threatened.
They knew that with each strand of yarn, each shawl, carpet they make, they are in their own small way doing their little thing to save a little endangered bird for the generations to come. Brenda Wanga, NTV, in Nyandarua County.
And residents of this county are beginning to reap the benefits of a devolved system of government with the improvement of the road infrastructure in the county. The county has embarked on a project to tarmac and recarpet roads and construct bridges over the many rivers in the county in order to ease movement of both people and their goods.
The image of infrastructure development that comes to mind for many is of well-tracked roads. But here in Nyandarua County, a different picture emerges. One may be mistaken for thinking that these roads are neglected, but there's a different side to this story. This style of construction is favored by the county because it isn't very expensive but lasts long.
Grip iko sawa, tena hakuna kuteleza, hakuna kuslip na itadumu. Budget ya rambi kwa 1 kilometer low volume seal ni 30 million, about 30-35 million. Na hii barabara kama haka ni 2 kilometers na inafanywa na kama roughly 3 million.
A few years ago, the Ol Bolgat road had no provisions for pedestrians, putting their lives at risk every time they walked along this road. Now, things have changed. Despite this, there are still murmurs of discontent over the pace of implementing these infrastructural developments. The county maintains it is doing the best to address years of neglect. The roads construction have come with their twin development of bridges, this Branda Bridge for instance proving to be a life-changing development for the residents here. The same goes for the bridge over River Turasha.
This was an initiative of the county government. We have spent close to 19.9 million or close to 20 million. And as you can see, this is a magnificent bridge that actually can stand the test of time.
Once considered a killer bridge, but now crossing it, a walk in the park.
Kwanza tulikuwa tunapata vifo, watu wakijaribu kuvuka, wengine wanatubukia kwa maji. Lakini baada ya kujengewa hii daraja, hatuna hiyo shida sasa.
Sisi kutoka hapa upande wa Turasha, kutoa mahidi upande wa Mugori, mto ukiwa umefurika, hatukuwa tukitumia kitu ya kutumia, manake puda hawawezi wakabeba hiyo mizigo. Tena hakuna gari inaweza kufuka.
The county still plans to construct over 2,000 kilometers of roads in the county by the year 2022.
Now, this county is also home to a sizable number of Maasai veterans who fought for Kenya's independence from colonialism. Aside from an advanced age, the veterans say they have been dejected by the same government they fought so hard to put in place, and despite their sweat, blood and tears, the veterans are slowly fading into oblivion as poverty bites them hard. Bridget Singana spent the day with one veteran and files this report.
Atop one of the ranges that form the Ngorika Ridges is a structure that has been home to Brigadier John Kiboko, a Mau veteran for the last 53 years. On the walls, reminded of the time he, together with other comrades, led a predominantly bush resistance to the colonial settlers. He joined the movement after Kenya's first president, Jomo Kenyatta, called for Africans to take up arms and fight the white settlers.
Mikutano yote ile alikuwa akifanya, alikuwa anasema msikane, mkue kitu kimoja. ndio tupunguze wazungu, si watu ya hapa. Unajua tulikuwa tukifikiria wazungu ni wa hapa.
Being at the heart of the push for independence came at a cost. Brigadier Kiboko was speared, broke his hip and was shot in the leg. The bullet remained lodged in his body for 41 years until his family fundraised for an operation to remove it.
Sasa wakati aliingia kumtoni, miti kakatwa ndio tuende tuvuke huko ngambo. Nikaanguka mtoni, kateremsha na mto.
The veteran says he is disappointed that even with all the blood that was spilled to build this nation, the veterans are yet to enjoy the benefits of freedom.
Tulikuwa tukifikiria wazungu wakienda tutakaa kama wazungu vile alikuwa nakaa. Sasa watu wengine ndio wanakaa kama wazungu wengine. Kwaje sisi tulipigana. Tunakaa kama watoto wa yatima Hakuna mtu mmoja wetu atakwambia ati anakaa mzuri. Hakuna.
However, the county government of Nyandarua has begun documenting the real Mau veterans and also assist them with their recurrent needs, most of which are now health related.
We are also coming up with initiatives to support them economically. See whether we can get either land where we can settle them, because we have some lands here that we can settle them into, and we also want to see whether we can give title deeds to the colonial villages.
The freedom fighter is saddened by the divisions he says are rampant in Kenya and wants them to stop.
Tulipigana Kenya, pale yote nafika kwa kitu kimoja. Sasa mnaweka ukabila, wewe ni Mjaruo, wewe ni Mkisii, wewe ni Mkikuyu, wewe ni ya nini? Anyitire mariboti maguthie nginya Karioko Kiboko akioria mutongoria ni kuri mundu twetereire mutongoria akimwira ari kwa ucio mugukora na tai.
That's just one of the songs Brigadier Kiboko was singing as he, together with other Mau fighters, were clamoring for the freedom of this country. Unfortunately, he says that none of them so far has been recognized as a hero, and he believes that this country owes them such a debt, that they should even have a monument to recognize the blood they spilled for this country to enjoy the freedoms it enjoys today. Bridget Ghana, NTV, Nyandarua County.
Thank you so much, Bridget Sungana, for that report indeed. And we salute them for the sacrifice they made to gain independence in our country. Now, Lake Ol Bolgat is home to thriving hippopotamus families and a wealth of stunning waterbeds. But human activity is drying up this oasis of life. The county government of Nyandarua, together with other conservation partners, are however hopeful that since its declaration as a protected wetland, they can turn it into a tourism hub for the county. I visited the lake, and here's what is that report. Our journey to Lake Ol Bolgat began early in the morning. It is a small lake that lies within Nyandarua County. Nestled between the northwestern slopes of the Aberdare Mountains and the Dundori Ridge, the lake serves as the source of the Ewaso Nyiro River and Thompson Falls. Under the cloudless sky, this lake also provides a home to several families of hippos and serves as a vital stopover site for migrating birds. As a source of the Ewaso Nyiro, it also supports the large population of people, livestock and wildlife that live downstream. Fishermen in this area depend on the lake for their livelihood.
Na tena acha niseme Lake Ol Bolgat ndio inakuwa chakula yangu ya daily. Niona sasa nikiwa na hizi samaki, acha niseme activity tu za vijana wadogo bado ziko. Badala ya vijana kupotelea Nairobi ni kukosa kazi nyingine, lakini tuko na mahali tunaweza jitegemea na kazi kama ile Lake Ol Bolgat. Sasa vyenye umeingia umepata hakuna boat, watu wanakuja mashule zote za Central. Acha niseme zinatupataga hapa lakini hatusaidikagi vivote.
But until very recently, the lake was facing extinction from unprecedented levels of environmental degradation, but was given a new lease of life when outgoing Environment CS Judy Wahungu declared it a protected area. Threats from human beings such as overgrazing, pollution and illegal settlement on the riverside land has significantly reduced the water body. In fact, it is estimated that there only remains about 2 square kilometers of open water.
The county government of Nyandarua has initiated the gazettement process, which is at now at the Attorney General's office. Once the gazettement is through, the county government has a lake management plan whereby we will fence the lake and have a single gate. Then we have plans to have a leisure park for people to come and relax, to put it as a game reserve. And we'll bring some animals like the water bugs, which can also be found there.
We have involved ourselves in civil education to the natives. Okay, in the beginning they didn't understand that they have a hidden gem, because this is a hidden gem for them. They would only do fishing, agriculture, and that's it.
The gazettement therefore will provide a crucial legal framework which will guide the conservation of the lake as a protected wetland area. The county government is hopeful that it can market the lake to have it included in the tourism circuit. We still have so much more from Nyandarua, and before we take a short break, here's a bizarre story from Kitui. Mbidi Kidheka, who disappeared from his home for more than 30 years and was presumed dead by his family, who even buried him, walked back home one morning in 2015. Mbidi died this week following a short illness. But the family now has a dilemma, as according to the Kamba tradition, one cannot be buried twice, as it is considered a bad omen.
For this family in Kitui, this burial ritual is something of a deja vu. A few years back, they had dug a grave and buried a man they believed was their loved one who disappeared from home. The family had searched for Mbidi Kidheka for nearly 3 decades and came up empty until one day they found a mutilated body at the mortuary that identified as his, burying their pain and loved one on a piece of land at the edge of their home in Kitui County.
Akatuelezea vile mtu huyu waliuawa na vile alikuwa anazama kwao na vile walikuja, na sisi tulikuwa tumepoteza mtu anaitwa Mbiti. Sasa tukaambiwa tuende tukatambue hiyo mwili kama ni ndugu yetu.
After 3 years of warming his way back into his family's heart, Mbidi Kidheka died last week.
Mwaka wa 2014 yule Mbiti akakuja. Sasa unajua wakati alikuwa sisi yote tulianguka chini. Sasa Mbiti ametoka wapi na amekufa.
Now the family has to relive his burial ritual, digging up his final resting place. But he will not be buried just yet, at least not in the family compound, according to custom.
Kwa hivyo ninaomba kama kuna watu wamepoteza mtu yao anaitwa Mbiti, ama wamepoteza mtu yao wanje kwa location yetu Kanya.
Kimila huyu anaweza akatolewa akafufuliwa kwenye kaburi hiyo na kuwe na kondoo ili usalama upatikane.
Unisomolo, NTV.
Alright, at this point we'll take a very short break, but when we come back, we're going to speak to the principal of this great institution, the Nyandarua Institute of Science and Technology, to just give us a glimpse of the state of this institute and of course the future plans. But that before the break. Stay tuned.
NTV Weekend Edition with Zainab Ismail.
Welcome back. You're watching NTV Weekend Edition. Now, the Nyandarua Institute of Science and Technology has made tremendous strides since its inception in 2006. The institution, which started with only 25 students, is now boasting of over 1,500 students taking different courses. NTV's Melita Oletenges now tells us the story of the rise of the institution and its commercial impact to the local community.
The birth of Nyandarua Technical Institute of Science and Technology in the year 2006 was informed by the need to expand the country's and county's technical training capacity. Since then, the Institute of Science and Technology has expanded and registered more students since it first opened its gates to learners 12 years ago.
We started a few years ago, but the way it is now, the government has given us adequate machineries. We have ample land here. We have teachers who have been taken by the government for training.
From registering 25 students in its first intake, the institute now accommodates 1,500 students taking different courses in technical, commercial and scientific fields.
Imenipea that skills ya kwenda yani kuongelesha, convincing somebody atumie ile method nataka, maybe in the farm.
According to the school principal Muhammad Hassan, the technical, commercial and scientific fields have continued to indicate growth with a promising increase in the number of students and absorption into the job market.
All the nations that are progressing because of technical advancement and expansion in the manufacturing sector.
The placement of the institute also a boon to the community around here, at least economically.
Watoto wakikuja hapa shuleni huwa wanatunulia na tumeweza kupanua biashara zetu. Mbeleni hatuko tunauza kitu.
Wakati watu wanajenga manyumba, tunawakodisha. Sasa wakati hii shule haikuwa hapa, huku kulikuwa tu na mizito.
As the Nyandarua Institute instills much needed skills to the students here, the skills are expected to translate to offering the capacity needed in building the nation's economy. Knowledge is power, they say. Well, the Nyandarua Institute of Science and Technology continues to quench the thirst of its students in the quest for intellectual growth and self-improvement, giving them the opportunity to become instrumental men and women in the society. Melita Oletenges, NTV, at the Nyandarua Institute of Science and Technology, Nyandarua County.
All right, and with that report by Melita Oletenges, now joining me live is the principal of this great county, Mr. Muhammad Hassan. Thank you so much for making time for us and of course giving us the opportunity to come and use your facility during our time on NTV on the road, this Highland edition.
Thank you.
Indeed. So, you know, since the inception of this institution almost over 10 years ago, with only 25 students, you're now having more than 1,000 students every academic year graduating from this institution. What really would you attribute the success of this institution?
Thank you, Zainab. Nyandarua Institute of Science and Technology was started by the local community at the beginning, with a limited resource that was raised locally. Thereafter, the government came in and put up structures that could accommodate the growing population. Not only that, the government has also provided equipment in various departments, such as automotive engineering, electrical, agricultural, engineering and ICT. In addition to that, the government has also put up for us a state-of-art library, which we have fitted with the required equipment for e-library. Our students are now getting good access to e-library. We don't struggle so hard looking for the technical books that are not available in the local bookshops. The students just go to the library and interact with those materials from the library.
So you're also using technology in terms of, improving the state of education.
Yes.
I understand that you joined early this year. Really, when you joined this institution, what strides have you made to ensure that you take it to the next level?
I'm just 6 months old here. The first progress that I've made is I have made sure that the newly issued agricultural equipment is properly sheltered and protected. We are also expanding our farm from 2 acres to 10 acres according to our strategic plan. Therefore, we have big dreams. Yes.
What would you say is the impact of this institution on the local community in terms of the technical skills that it provides?
This institute has provided the desired technical skills to the local population. Students who joined this place from the locality have joined the market. Some of them have been hired here as lecturers.
You actually have success stories of some of the students who've been incorporated into the job market.
Yes, I don't have the exact statistics.
Yes.
But they are there. I know of a young man in this town, in Nyahururu, who has developed a portal that, can market itself in institutions, because it has programs that can expose, the management to all the management records just from the manager's desk. Yes.
This institution sits on such a huge piece of land.
Yes,
yeah? Are there plans maybe to expand it to to include even more students who are enrolling, and because the demand is high, I understand?
Yes, the Department of Technical Education in the Ministry of Education has a plan. In this plan, they have said all the institutes must have minimum of 5,000 students. We are planning to make sure that that dream is realized within the next 2 years. Not only that, also we want to diversify, our activities, expand the land under agriculture, put up modern garage that will service all these tractors and our own vehicles and vehicles within the locality. Not only that, discoveries that are made by our students, or new machines or technologies that our students come up with, we are intending to create a hub where they are kept, marketed, and branded, and probably also patented, so that those who discover such products are rewarded adequately.
Yes. All right, there's an obvious skill gap in the country in terms of technical skills, and looking at the government's Big Four agenda, the affordable housing and manufacturing, there's a lot of technical skill that is needed. Do you think that, with the government's proposal to strengthen TVETs like this, they will be able to step up and fill that gap?
Definitely, we don't expect, sudden success. I want to tell the viewers that, there are no miracles. The government and the institutions should be given opportunity and time to interact with the system and look for necessary funding so that these dreams are realized. For example, ourselves, in the agriculture sector, we are planning to expand, the way I said, our farmland. Not only that, also we want to put up aggressive research on potato value addition and productivity. That's on side of agriculture. On the side of housing also, we have come up, you know, with cheap fencing system where we make simple concrete poles. Our students and lecturers have already started making chain links. Those chain links and poles will be used for to provide security to the houses and farms and all this. Therefore, it will contribute to the Big Four agenda on the side of housing now.
And of course, agriculture is probably the mainstay of this county, and that is where you focus in. But let's talk about the students. How diverse are the students? Are they just from this county, this region, or are they coming from also different areas?
The students are coming from all over. We are having students from Mombasa, we are having students from Northeastern, we are having students from Nyanza, we are having students from all over generally.
All right. And lastly but not least, you know, a lot of young people tend to prefer white-collar jobs as opposed to technical-based skills. What advice would you give young people? You know, the rate of unemployment is quite high in this country. What is that advice you'd give, you know, in terms of getting that much-needed skill, even the technical skills?
I would like to tell the youth of this nation that it is not easy to find an employed millionaire. But if, you know, they come up with technologically progressive ideas, they are likely to strike the jackpot very soon. Therefore, they should go into the world of discovery. I'm happy the government has already made, you know, a lot of stride. There is Ajira Kenya that is, you know, sponsored by the ICT ministry, which some of our lecturers have already got trained in. And some of these skills are going to advance the talent and productivity of these youths. Yeah.
All right. And of course, Mr. Mohammed Hassan, you know, we can talk so much about this great institute and the impact it is having on not just the county but the national level. But we are running out of time. I beg you to just allow us to take a very short break. But thank you so much for your time, for allowing us to set up in this institution and allowing us to use your facilities. It is fantastic. The students have been great to us. Thank you so much for being welcoming to us, Mr. Hassan.
Thanks a lot too.
All right. At this point, we'll take a very short break here on NTV Weekend Edition. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at women and power. And of course, we also have sports news lined up for you. Welcome back. You're watching NTV Weekend Edition. Now, for the people of Hafarei sublocation Kor in the heart of Marsabit County, women are not allowed to even stand in public and speak. But Mariam Abion Longore has defied the odds, becoming the first woman assistant chief from the area. And even with little formal education, she's a champion of female empowerment and education for girls, and hopes that many young girls will break free from the restraints of tradition. She told her story to NTV's Leila Mohammed in this week's Women and Power.
Naitwa Mariam Abion Longore. Mimi nimetoka jamii ya Warendile, na baba yangu alikuwa ameshaoa bibi ya pili. Kwa hivyo huyo mama wa pili hakuwa anasikizana na mimi. Kwa hivyo ikanibidi nikae kwa mama fulani wa Manyata ya Lesolomat. Kwa huyu mama ambaye nakaa kwake akasikia fununu kwamba baba yangu ameshanipeana kwa mzee fulani. Jioni aliniongoja wakati nilifika na maji, alitoa mimi hiyo changa yote akafungua. Akaenda kwa headmaster ya shule ya Kor. Akamwambia, tafadhali hii mtoto anataka kuoa na mimi sinaona hii msichana bado ni mdogo. Tafadhali kubali yeye aingie hii shule yako. Kufika class 8 sasa ikakuwa ni kikomo. Hakuna vile nitaendelea na masomo. Hakuna mtu atanisomesha. Huyu mama naye hata nisomesha na mali ya familia yake. Hii kanisa ya Katoliki kaingia huko. Wakanipeleka kwa sababu nilikuwa nasikia lugha. Nilikuwa nasikia Kiingereza, Kiswahili. Walitaka mtu ya kutranslate hawa. Wakanipeleka wakaniweka kwa dispensary. Baada ya mwaka nikasikia iko advertisement ya kuwa chief. Nikasikia advertisement nikaandika, nikaenda. Nikakuja hapa Laisamis nikafanywa interview na nini yote nikapita. Baada ya karatasi yangu ya appointment letter kuingia, huyu MP wetu wakati alikuwa Joseph Lekuto na libadilisha akampea mwanaume. Kwa sababu alisema kwa mila na desturi ya sisi Rendile huko, Warendile wataki mama ambaye anakuwa chief. Akafunga mwaka 3 na mwezi 8 bila kupata mshahara, na niko na uniform, niko na appointment letter, kila kitu nilikuwa naye. Nilianza sasa kukimbia tena, kustruggle tena, kujua ni nini ndio shida. Maneno barua tena ikakuja, nikaambiwa kazi yako imeangaliwa, hakuna makosa yoyote, rudi enda fanya kazi. Sasa nikajaribu nikafaulu. Kilichonistua wakati walinipeleka hiyo graduation, mzee mmoja alisema, sasa kama tulisema yes, tulikubali mama, ni lazima hata basi tukubali ile fimbo atabeba kama mwanaume kati yetu. Tumeanza shule ambayo iko na darasa mpaka class 4, darasa la 4 sasa. Wasichana ndio wengi kuliko vijana. Na ni kwa sababu ya juhudi yangu kusema hata hawa wanataka kusoma, kuwasukuma waweka hata wasichana shule, kwa sababu huko kwetu walikuwa wanaona wasichana ni mali tu. Watoto wangu wa kike ningewafanya wasome sana, ningewapatia, kama wangeweza kusikia maneno yangu, ningewafanya wasome sana ili masomo yao ipite yangu. Kwa mila na desturi yetu, mama hauna kuseya kusema msichana wangu aolewi. Unalia, unasema nini, lakini hakuna mtu anachukulia maneno yako kama ni kitu. Kwa hivyo ni kitu gani ndio wanafanya? Mandugu ya bwana yako, hata si bwana yako, mandugu zake ndio wanapeana. Kama msichana wangu wa kwanza walipeana Merile. Huko walikula pesa nini, kila kitu. Sisi tulikujua mimi na baba yako kuambiwa tumefika kwa sababu ya kuwaeleza msichana tumeshapeana, nyinyi muwe tayari tu kwa harusi. Bwana yako akifariki, iko ile wataweka kwa nyumba kama bwana. Watabless, watakwambia huyu ndio atakaa kwa nyumba yako kama bwana yako. Sasa wakati walisikia nimesema hivyo, hata walifurahi kwa sababu nilisema sitaki bwana mwingine tena. Kwa hivyo wakasema, mama, kama tu umemkataa ule mwingine hawezi kuja kuinterfere na hii mali yetu, ile kidogo tuko nayo tunaweza kusukuma tu na utatusomesha.
Fantastic. What an inspiration of a woman, and we all aspire to be such kind of women. Well, at this point, we take a short break. Brian Otwal is on standby at the Nation Center in Nairobi to bring you sporting action. Stay tuned.